So I've always been a fan of Assetto Corsa and Assetto Corsa Competizione, and somehow I've never really considered this much less popular sim title. So strap in and get ready for something different today because we're trying out Raceroom Racing Experience and see how it compares with Assetto Corsa. Let's get into it. One thing we love on this channel is free stuff, and I'm glad to say that Raceroom is free to play, albeit limited to a handful of cars and tracks. But the cool part is that you still get some limited access to the paid content for free, and we'll get to that in just a bit. Because what I want to show you guys now is my top 5 reasons why Raceroom really shines. First off, all of their cars are officially licensed from practically all the major racing series, so anything from GT3s, DTMs, and even prototype cars. So they have all the proper liveries and they definitely look accurate enough to me. And yes, it can add up to quite a bit if you do choose to purchase all of their content. However, they do allow you to test drive any car for free. Of course, you'll be limited to what you can do, but I think it's a refreshing way to try out new cars, especially if you're used to downloading mods for Assetto Corsa and just crossing your fingers that it's a good mod. Next on the list of favorite things is the sound design. I mean, just listen to this. There's an obvious layer of sound effects which you just don't get in AC. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love AC, but sound plays such a big part in immersion, and man does this sound design work. Sound effects for stuff like the drivetrain whine and turbo wastegate and blower valves is, well, it feels like it's not a simple one-dimensional sound effect, and you can actually hear a noticeable difference throughout the rev range. You want to have your headphones on for Raceroom, that's for sure. In my opinion, the sound effects are almost on par with ACC, which is regarded by most people as the sim with the most accurate sound. And at number 3 of my favorite things about Raceroom is the leaderboard challenge in single player mode. In particular, my favorite are the fixed setup challenges where you get to challenge anyone in the world in cars that are identically set up, so it's really down to you as the driver. You also get to challenge anyone's fastest time by racing against their ghost replay so you can see exactly where you're losing out on time. And then there's the more serious version of the leaderboard challenge under the competition section with prizes to be won. And even a physical trophy for some races as well. A physical trophy, how cool and nerdy is that? I absolutely love it. I did the Tatters F4 leaderboard challenge with a fixed setup, and I've managed to place 786 in the world and top 3 in Singapore as well. Let's just ignore the fact that there were only 4 entries from Singapore. At number 4 of best things about Raceroom is the multiplayer racing. They use the ranked racing system similar to iRacing, and you can filter races to show only content that you have, or even to filter for different driving assists. And for sure, the number of drivers is significantly less compared to other sims, but nothing beats racing against real people online, and a ranked system does a good job of making sure everyone is able to have some good fun. And last but definitely not least is the continued development of the title. So Raceroom last had an update as recently as December 2023 where they updated the tyre models. And according to Raceroom, Mantai Racing uses a beta version of Raceroom in their simulator room for their real-life drivers. But of course, it's not all perfect, and after all, there's no such thing as the perfect sim, is there? For example, it's really noticeable that the cars seem to be lower resolution. You can see the polygons here on the wheel arch, and the decals are pixelated and a blurry mess. However, to be fair, you don't notice any of these things when you're racing in cockpit view, and there are no mods for Raceroom, so it's just something you're going to have to live with. Another shortcoming is that if you're coming from Assetto Corsa, one of the first things you'll notice is that there's no nighttime or weather cycles in Raceroom. Of course, it'll be great to have these features, but I have to say that it definitely isn't a deal breaker. The default sky and clouds in Raceroom do look better than the default sky in Assetto Corsa without any mods, so yeah, it's alright. And lastly, if you're the kind of guy who loves to tinker with mods, this probably isn't going to be the title for you. Simply because there are absolutely no car or track mods available at all. You basically use what they provide to you. But you know what, even for someone like me who loves to tinker with mods in Assetto Corsa, it's actually refreshing to just jump into a title and drive. At the end of my testing, I've come to realize that Raceroom isn't just another sim title that's trying to be Assetto Corsa or ACC for that matter. For me, Raceroom is about mastering the very different racing classes and then taking them out for some intense online battles. And in fact, by keeping the title constantly updated, I have to say that Raceroom to me feels like a proper sim title that should rank amongst the greats like Assetto Corsa, ACC, and even iRacing. So go on and download Raceroom from Steam, it's free after all, and maybe you'll be like me and find that you've been missing out all this time as well.